Hello, Thursday. How are you? This is Alexa Hampton, and we are going to go live today for 52 weeks with Pamela Jaccarino once she gets the invite. Hi, Mommy. Okay. Let's see.
We did it.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Oh my gosh, I see all these comments. I feel like, okay, how do you get to the bottom of these comments? Okay. Or
If
people.
yeah, if you can't see yourself because of them,
I can see you, which is all.
sometimes you just go down and it. I didn't hear that. What? Are you
I
there?
had a phone call coming in. Can you hear me okay?
Okay.
I'm
I
here.
can now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi. So, how are
Hey,
you?
how are you? I'm really
I
good.
am
Thanks so
good.
much for inviting me.
Oh my gosh, what a pleasure. And I'm excited to hear everything you have to say because you have a different, obviously a different perspective, but on top of, you're being an editor, you're an artist. So,
I dabble a little bit.
oh, dabble,
I
schmabble.
dabble a little, but okay, if we get to it too, I just have to say that you too do art because I remember, you remember your oil paintings that were at market, was that 5 or 6 years ago? They were fabulous.
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That was a means to an end. Um, and yeah, I'm not even a consistent dabbler. I'm an inconsistent dabbler, which
I'm sort of inconsistent too, depending on the weekend. And some weekends I just want to be in my
really,
pajamas and do nothing. Yes.
because I feel like your artistic output is pretty nuts. Like it's
I've been
on.
accused of being productive in my life. So, yeah.
So let's go over. I don't know why I'm screaming. Let's go over all of the things that you do, given that you've been accused of productivity. Um, give us your list of jobs.
Oh gosh, well, I'm the founding editor-in-chief of Luxe Interiors and Design, which started 16 years ago as a very sort of quiet and small little project. It was one of many projects when I met our chairman, Adam Sandow, when he was just starting his company. I had left my job. I was an executive editor for LVMH doing incredible custom published work. But
I'm dying to hear about that too.
yeah, I feel like we were sort of ahead of the curve doing that because so many brands now are into storytelling.
Was that in the Gucci years with Tom Ford?
We didn't work on Gucci per se. We worked on more of a lot of sort of like the jewelry brands and did a lot of sort of, it was custom publishing and it was incredible and I loved it. But at the time, don't even ask me the year because I can't, all the years are like fading into each other. I'd
Yeah.
had my second son. I had worked since like I got out of school and I was like, I'm going to get off the merry-go-round. And I have 2 kids. I'm going to take a bit of a break. It did not last long because I was introduced to Adam Sandow and in fact had always worked for entrepreneurs.
Right.
And we launched Luxe, really quietly and over the years it's just grown so much and I mean, yeah, it's a pretty big brand right now. So that's
How many Luxes are there?
on the editorial side, there are 75. So it's a lot of covers and a lot of content. Or it's 75 magazines that we put out a year as a group.
What?
I know. Well, I know it's like,
Wow.
so it's 6 times a year, right? It's bi-monthly. And we have regional markets all over the country. So the front of book, when we're covering, what's happening in design, what's in the design zeitgeist, that is sort of our front of book. And that is shared content that's done by our front of book team and comes out 6 times a year. right? Relatively manageable. The part that is regional, Alexa, is the feature well of
Yeah.
homes and artisans, because we're super into our artisans. And we also have a few pages on regional design news. So that's the regional, but it is, you know,
And
it's when we,
how much do you touch each of the 75 issues?
so,
Like you're
you
in
know,
all of them.
yeah, I mean, I'm not, am I reading every single word? No, I could not. I'm a big
Well,
believer
that's
also in, yeah, I'm a big believer in like, it's 6:30, we're not working. We don't work on the weekends, right? It's super organized and we have the most amazing team. A lot of what I'm spending my time doing is submission meetings with the editors, which, right, we have a lot of submission meetings from all across the country, all these wonderful projects that are coming in that need to be reviewed and decided, yes, no, how are we going to do this? And also, you know, how we're laying out the books. How are they going to look to the reader? It's so important. And we have homes editors in all of these markets that are, you know, finding the projects and networking and bringing them, you know, into us. And then, you know, it's evaluation and then it's go time. Yeah. I don't look at our production schedule. I gave up looking at the production schedule.
You would tell a designer watching this, like, send your stuff in, send it in.
If I would tell a designer, find out what's right for your business and where do you feel like you know, how do you want to approach getting published? It could be digitally, it could be in print, right? Everything has changed now. And you know, we're a regional design magazine. So, you know, for a New York project, it's going to be in that New York book, right?
Yeah.
So we don't have sort of a national footprint. We do with our brand, but for
Sure.
each of the regional magazines, you know, if you're going to be in the Southeast, it's going to be an Atlanta home, a Nashville home. But we publish a lot of projects and a lot of designers and architects and builders, and it's great for the industry. And we love it.
You said, think about how you'd want to be published regionally. I mean, digitally or in the magazine. Do people who are submitting actually have any choice whatsoever, or isn't that up to you guys?
Yeah, well, I mean that as a business decision, right? I think, like, you know, designers, architects, everyone's running a business and has to decide what's best for them. But when we get the submissions, it's really for the print. But because of the volume, we really don't do sort of web
I
exclusives.
think you're getting another phone call.
Uh-oh, what? I never get anyone to call me.
Did you just get another phone call?
I know, yes, I got a voicemail. My phone never rings. Okay. It's probably my mother. No one else is calling me. Can you hear me okay?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mom, I'm busy.
So
Don't call me.
We were talking about we were talking digital versus in print and, you know, having a sense of what your business is. But in terms of submitting to Luxe, say I have a project in New York, I send it to the regional branch.
Or to me.
Or to you. And then you guys decide which way it's going to go, if it's going to be digital or if it's going to be in the magazine. And as we all know, both are very viable right now and very viable and vital.
And mostly mostly for us, Alexa, it's right. It's going to be in print. I mean, there's so many other things that we have done now as a brand. We have the print book, which is huge for us. We have our design TV show, which we launched during COVID. We've got, you know, Instagram. So we've got all of these ways. We've got amazing digital sort of, you know, storytelling that we're doing. And I think that that's so important because, you know, the reader, the audience is digesting design in all these different ways now. And I think it's so important for us to tell those stories in different ways as well.
And okay, so in addition to the magazine, you also have awards that you give out. And how many awards, is that regional as well? I mean, I know I have emceed.
Yes, you have. Yeah. We launched our redolent.
I'm like the Mikey of the design world. Like, or no, I guess I'm the anti-Mikey. It's like, oh, just give it to Alexa. She loves talking. She'll do it. And that is true. Oh my God, is your mother calling you again? Did your mother just call you again?
No, no, no. And I
No?
know it's
Okay,
my mom
you
because I
went
have
outside
two
of it.
phones. This is my,
So,
oh, I did? Oh God, maybe it's my Wi-Fi. That's terrible. Sorry.
oh, it could
Can you
be.
hear me?
Um, yeah, I can. So how
Okay.
many awards programs do you have?
So we have one awards program called the Luxe Red Awards, which is open
Yeah,
right now for submissions.
maybe it is your
I think it's
Wi-Fi.
it's my Wi-Fi. Oh no. It looks like I have all my bars here.
Hmm.
Uh-oh. What do we do, Alexa? You're the queen of
Better
this
call
and
me.
I'm not. Do I come back
Am I the
in?
queen?
Well, you do
Do
this
you think
every
that'll
week.
help, or do we? Yeah,
I don't know.
I can hear you now. I'm good.
Okay. Okay.
But if you think it'll improve, sure, you can click out and come back on.
I don't know. I'm looking at my phone and all the little bars are there and
Okay, then I think we're good.
all right, well,
So,
let's try it.
yeah. So how many award ceremonies do you host, and in how many locations?
It's one mega one a year,
Okay.
right? It's going to happen. It will happen next year. We're just open for submissions. There are regional winners. There's 15 categories for projects there, right? And there's regional winners. The regional winners go on to win sort of a national award as well. And this year we're opening it up for products. So we'll probably,
Oh.
yes. Yeah. Alexa
I was
Hampton
just
for, yeah.
I was just telling DJ Carrie of Cottages and Gardens that she had given me an award once, and it was like, a huge, as it would be, a huge deal to me, and that I've become such a, like, I've now told my husband that if he wants me to show up for dinner, I would like him to devise an award for me. Like, I'll show up for an award. I'm like, perhaps you can give me the Good Fork Award. But that's really exciting because there is so much product out there. And also there's so many artisans that we need to support right
Totally.
now because COVID has hit so many of them so horribly. So
We're, yeah, yeah.
we got to shine a light.
We're so big on that. It's interesting that many years ago when we were, we were reevaluating our feature well, and I decided let's put artisans in the feature well, and we find them across the country. They're artists, they're people doing millwork, they're furniture makers, and we do our incredible art team and design director. Yeah. And we do photo shoots of them across the country and put them right in the feature well. And I think that that's so important because they are sort of sometimes the unsung heroes of the industry.
Oh, absolutely.
And so important.
Yeah, I was just on a panel with Joyce Romanoff, whose husband was Maya Romanoff.
Of
and
course.
She was discussing their process of developing all of that product, and just hearing all of the actions they've had to take to create their line, and all of the travel and meeting vendors and developing new products, and all the artistry, just thinking about all of the decisions that she makes and her family makes in a given year to come out with these things that I so totally take for granted. But and that she takes care of that whole process of like things I could never possibly know the answers to. That all of those artisans doing those things, making those choices, making those decisions, so that we all can take them for granted in our effort to create beautiful environments. Is like they're both the unsung heroes and the sung heroes.
Totally. And I've been up to the Maya Romanoff studios to watch them, and their craft. I'm really into craft. It's so important, and that we value it and celebrate it. So yeah.
I think a lot of the cooking shows that we all watch, certainly over COVID, I've watched now every cooking show there is, even though I cannot cook. The craft of it all, the seeing how things get made and ingredients and all of that is it's just it's so relevant to everything.
Yeah, I feel like I did go down a little bit of a baking path at the early days of COVID, but yeah, I mean, I do like to cook, but I don't cook all frequently
Right.
because it's a lot of time. So that's sort of a bit of a weekend pursuit for me. But yeah, I do love to
Yeah.
go out for a great meal.
But it's a great metaphor for all of these collaborative arts that we are involved with.
Completely.
So you have 75 magazines that you are overseeing. You have this regional submission and national awards for
Yes.
both interiors and for artisans and product. Um, what else you do?
We launched Design TV too during COVID because why not?
And where can we find that?
So Design TV is something that, it's so interesting. During COVID, there was all this pressure. Oh my gosh, we have to do Insta lives. And we have, I know, well, you are keeping it. By the way, I have 75 magazines. You have 52 of these each week. It is a commitment, right? You've got to be
It is
passionate about it.
talking does come naturally to everybody. Everybody can talk.
Everybody can talk. So we have a great video team, right, that works at the Sandow Design Group, right? We own Interior Design Magazine in Metropolis, and we're, as a company, extremely invested in design vis-a-vis media, design tools. So anyway, we thought, why don't we utilize our incredible video team and put programming together.
I lost you at.
Oh no.
No, don't worry. I lost you at. You thought, why don't we?
Why don't we utilize our video team and do programming? So we did, and we do, and I do shows. Cindy Allen does shows. All of our editors do shows. We do home tours, and
Where
this
do we
is.
see these?
It's on our IGTV, and also. Oh no, this is terrible. My Wi-Fi.
Where do we see these shows?
You can go to luxsource.com, which is our site, or our Instagram, Luxsource, Luxe Interiors and Design on Instagram. Yeah.
So it's all on Instagram. Wonderful.
They're all there in the little TV
you're in our
icon.
hands and available, whether we have Wi-Fi or 5G. That's incredible.
Exactly.
And how many paintings do you think you do a year?
Well, I mean, I doodle in my sketch pad a lot, right? I usually will wait.
What does doodle mean to Pam Jaccarino? No, seriously, what does doodle mean to you? Because you're
doodling to me means getting a pencil, right? This is what I did when I was a kid. When I was a little girl, I would sit on my floor with my pencil and sketch, and all of my friends were art nerds. We would go down, like all of my friends were, this is what we did. So a doodle to me is I'll get my pencil, or I'm looking over at my entire collection of my flare marker. It has to be a medium flare marker. I'm very specific. And just sketch. And I usually will sometimes get like inks or watercolors, and it's just like you just disappear in a way, right? You sort of just get into your own head, and truly this industry inspires me so much. I mean, it's a visual industry, and I love it so much. So
and
that's a doodle.
Is all of your work of interiors?
I mean, I'm incredibly inspired by interiors, and I see so many of them. So I do interiors. I do sort of my version of what a portrait is, which is very two-dimensional, and a lot of sort of flowers. I've been really into, like, I had this whole conversation with Dennis Scully last week about insects. So I feel like I might want to do insects. I feel like my ADD comes in when I'm looking at art, and I just get super inspired by so many different things. I'll get a book that lands on my desk and just want to, be inspired to paint it.
So I just read an article, maybe even yesterday or the day before, about productivity fatigue, that during COVID, everybody was exhorted to do things that were productive. What's interesting about your artwork is, it's very tied into your job on the one hand, because it's so frequently interiors, or it's patterns, or but it's also clearly an outlet and a joy for you. And I know you said that you would be interested, like, that you would love to turn it into wallpaper and or fabrics. Do you worry that by making it productive, that the joy will be leached from it?
Oh God, no, I'm a huge procrastinator. I know it. I'm a big,
You claim
I,
to.
well, okay, there's two, oh God, this is a whole, this is like an art therapy session.
Yeah.
So you have to, okay, so I'm gonna tell you that, um, you know, I wanted to go to art school and I didn't. I went to journalism school.
Well,
And I went off on my career and I gave up doing any art. I didn't pick up a pencil. I had my children and right, I did not do anything at all. I moved away from it until one very bitter cold day when I was in New York City. And I mean bitter cold. It was like wind chill. It was like 17 degrees. And I thought, I'm gonna go to the Frick. I will go to the Frick. I went to the Frick and I stood in front of a John Singer Sargent painting that I particularly love, Lady Agnew.
yeah.
And it was like a religious experience for me. I mean, I've gone to a lot of museums, I've seen a lot of things, and I left that painting and went into the courtyard and they said, you know, it's open sketch day. Would you like to sketch? And I thought, okay, well, I don't want to go outside. It's freezing. So I sat and sketched. And that was this was only like 8 years ago. And that was sort of the beginning of me saying, you know, I should make time for this. I enjoy this pursuit. So in some
Love.
ways, I feel like I've gotten back to something that I've enjoyed. And honestly, it's like anything else, you know, it's a muscle. If you don't use it, it's going to go away. So I do feel like maybe I had a period where I felt like I wanted to explore this and do it more and more. And it's just the greatest, it's just such a joy. There's no boundaries. It's much like, interior design, the history of it, the culture, you can study anything if you're curious. So,
Yeah,
but
it's interesting how there's maybe an intersection between your journalism and your artwork because, and you said many times earlier, talking about your desire to tell these stories, this is another means by which you are telling these stories.
yeah, and there's no boundaries. I mean, I just think it's incredibly magical what you all do and what artists and creatives do, right? What do? You walk into a room, it might be just a white box. Hopefully there's some great interior architecture there, but you create an environment and a narrative and a story. That is what interior designers do and also what artists do. You've got a blank piece of paper in front of you and you've got to create something. So, yeah, I love that.
So what is we hear a lot in art, in discussions of art, but especially in TV and theater and about the importance of storytelling. Why do you feel that it's important to tell stories?
Oh my God.
I mean, I
Yeah.
certainly I have opinions too, but I would love to hear your take because you are a proper journalist.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's everything. I think so much around us now is storytelling. Whether you're watching a Netflix series, whether you're
Right,
reading
but
a great
what's
book,
important about it?
because if you're curious, you're learning something. Hopefully you go into an interior, you read an article, and it sparks a curiosity in you to want to discover something new or to learn something that you didn't know before. And it might send you down. I mean, the best, as I always tell the editors, make sure there's something that someone will read and then want to Google. As I always tell out to the editors, whether you're writing a sentence or, a long form article, I always find that I want to discover something and want to learn more.
So
I think it's everything. It's so interesting.
Yeah. I do think certainly interior design, the best interior design when it's finished is autobiographical about the person who lives there.
Oh.
But, you know, it's autobiography through the lens of, you know, what sofa you picked.
Right, right, right.
Um, but it's also what you want to say. It says who you are, but it also says what you want to say about yourself.
And the thing too, I
Getting,
hope I'm not spinning. I know I see my thing spinning. I'm so, ooh. The
no,
other
you're
thing,
not.
well, the other thing too, you know, it's the other thing that is just so magical about it, whether you're reading a book or an interior or looking at art, is it's a little bit, it's subjective, right? It's sort of, you know, people can take away what they want from it and internalize it and interpret it in their own way, which I also think is kind of interesting, right? And it promotes dialogue and discussion and I think it's everything.
Yeah, and it's representation. If stories aren't being told about you, whether if you're a person of color, you're a woman, or you're, you know, whatever category in which you place yourself, if stories don't include you, that's so crazy.
Yeah. I love it. I
Um,
mean, my favorite thing, I mean, my God, I love, my favorite thing is to go to like a great bookstore. I was just up in North Carolina at an amazing, you know, bookstore. I could just drop me in a bookstore or a vintage bookstore. I am like the happiest person. I know what I discovered last week. I'd never been there. The second story of Argosy bookstore, I think it's on
uh
59th. Oh my God,
it
it's like you
yeah,
die
yeah.
and go to heaven. They've got all the plates. You know, they've got
I used
all.
to all my dorm room artwork came from them.
Oh, I,
I got prints and framed them and took them with me to college.
yeah, I went up there. I'm like, I need to just move in here for for about a week. And but even there, going through, it's store. I just feel like there's lots of stories in there. Even through like an old botanical print or an old marine print. So I'm telling you, I'm
Um,
a big art nerd. I mean, this was what I did when
Clearly.
I was a kid.
Uh, do you have other hobbies?
Laziness, laying
Okay, so
laying around. You know,
I'm feeling very connected to you. No, and just like my kids once said, you either totally busy or you're totally not.
yeah, no, I mean,
Um,
like
and my
from,
busyness is usually centered around the things that you and I do.
yeah,
You know, looking at pretty things, or designing them or buying them or whatever.
yeah, no, I am like my perfect Saturday would be just like I'm in my pajamas and I'm just a complete sloth and I'm really not doing much. I'm just puttering around. Maybe I'll read a book, maybe I won't read a book. And that it's super important for me to unplug, right? It's funny because I said my mom was calling because this is my personal phone. My business phone is here and I like to keep them separate.
Yeah,
And I feel sometimes like I'm an iPhone myself. I need to like plug myself in and
yeah,
just turn it off. Yeah,
yeah, or recharge. Yeah, 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 yeah. I find that
completely.
yeah, I totally get that. Um,
Completely.
so it's interesting looking at your artwork. You're obviously very simpatico with Matisse, and kind of like that moment in Matisse world where there's
Yes.
the layer of the Japanese textiles, and it's very maximalist, and
It's yeah. The
and
foes.
there's a fun back and forth between two-dimensional, three-dimensional, two-dimensional for shape, three-dimensional to dive in to experience your pattern work. But it doesn't seem to interfere with your editorial side. Like
Well,
when I see your editorial work, it is not peggable. Oh, there
oh,
was.
really?
I'm
Uh-oh.
sorry if it's my.
I'm twirling again.
Do you?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
you're back.
it's okay. Yes, I'm back. You know, it's so separate. I mean, when I'm working you know, on the magazine, there's a reader. I always tell the editors, and I think to myself, I don't want to make the magazine for me. I'm making the magazine for a reader, and you know, I'm always very aware of, for Luxe, there's a reader and there's also an industry, and that I feel such, you know, an obligation to serve both in a way. So there are many things that we publish that might not turn me on, but may turn on the reader, if that makes sense. And also, you know, we have a lot of editors who also, I mean, I love our submission meetings because it's very rollicking in terms of the opinions, and I always feel like we should turn them into a show, but I'd probably have to leave the industry if we did. So yeah, I mean, there's some homes I see and it's like, I can live in this home, right? I could just move right in, drop me there, and I'd be happy. So I feel like I have to separate that.
Yeah. And that's probably your journalistic integrity, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm serving a reader, and I'm in service to this incredible and amazing industry, and the people who are in it, and the work that they do.
You are on your TV program?
Yes.
What are your goals for it?
You know, it really is. Well, I have certain shows that I do, and I feel like what we're trying to do with that is, again, storytell, let our consumers know also about the amazing people in our industry. So I've done master classes with, you know, with lots of designers and architects, telling, you know, how did they become who they have became? What was their journey to get to be where they are? And then I started recently creative conversations with artists, right? Lulu DK, she makes these amazing shells. I'm like,
Sure.
I just like,
yeah, she's very, I can see that being
I'm like, oh my gosh, I just want to talk to her. Sally King Benedict, we published her house. She's an artist, and I love her work, and I just wanted to sort of have a conversation with her. Maybe that's self-serving. So I just say, I'm serving the audience, but really a few people I'm interested in. So I guess they get snuck in there.
Guarantee your engagement.
Yeah, I mean, it's people who I think I'm curious and interested in speaking to, who I think our audience should also learn about. And it's very different to, you know, see someone's interior work or architecture work and read about which the stories that we tell in book, and the features of the homes are, how did the design team come together to make this home be what it is? But there's also another side to the design talent in our industry. And I think that those stories are also important to tell. So that's what Design TV does. We also do the home tours, so the features that are in our book. The editors that produce those get on with the designers, get on with the architects and the landscape architects, and it gives a little bit of another layer as to how the project came to be, what was the source of inspiration, etc. So it's just layering on what we already do, I think, and I think it's important.
Do you publish books in that case? And since you're obviously feathering your nest in all these different media, have you published a Luxe book?
We haven't published a Luxe book. I really would like to do a book on the artisans that we cover across the country. We just have not gotten to it, just because the photography is incredible. I think visually it would be something that's very different and interesting, but we haven't done sort of a book on, you know, on our home projects, but who knows? Maybe down the road.
I mean, when I look at Cabana and look at product through their lens, it does get me super jazzed. And I just saw Fayence Apt just joined this. And like, you know, if I saw a picture of Aptware and got to see about like how it's made in Apt, France, and then, you know, that it would be a great service if you did that book, because, you know, we don't always get the chance, we in the design world who are ordering stuff or, you know, customizing or asking or whatever. We need all of those sources to make our
Yeah.
work that much more special.
Yeah,
So
and we have amazing photography that's all original, photography, and obvious, it pains me and it pains our design director and art director when we're now doing everything on our, right, we're
yeah.
all through Zoom, but we could go through the layouts and it's like, God, we just want like 4 more pages to utilize this. I love it as a visual person. I'm all about, how do those layouts look in those pages and what can we include. So a book maybe in the future. Stay tuned.
I'm all for it. I will buy it for sure. What does your house look like?
What does my house look like? So we sold our house and I'm in a rental. This is a good story.
Okay, so yeah, tell me everything.
I'm in a rental at the beach, and my husband had like a fever dream during COVID as I was on like my 20,000th Zoom of the day. He was like, we're selling the house and we're moving to the beach. I need you to come look at this like townhouse immediately. And I feel like I woke up, I'm like, wait, what did we do? So we're in a townhouse on the beach in Highland Beach. I live in Florida. And it is a white box that I
Where
thought.
did you live prior?
What's that?
Did you live in close by? Prior?
I live not far away. So this is, my husband wanted a boat. We've got a little boat in the back, and we're across from a private beach, and it is like a paradise, not in the summer. But it was just a white empty box. I thought, like, there's no architecture. I mean, it's just a temporary rental, but I ordered custom Schumacher curtains, and I painted the fireplace in this crazy pattern, and my husband landscaped the whole side. I had to like tell us, like, we don't own this place, even though we feel like we do. And it's just sort of beachy. There's lots of stuff all over. I just like a lot of books and a lot of pattern. I'm up here in my sort of office / art room, and it used to be all white. Now, of course, I've got my collage craziness all over the world, all over the walls. And we're here really for like just through next summer, and we don't know where we're going to go next. So,
wow. So you have to leave next summer?
We don't have to leave. It's funny. So the other thing too is we've just been gone for a month. We went up to Asheville, North Carolina. My dad used to have a house there, and we love it there. And it was interesting to not be in our home for a month and then come back in after a month. And I thought, wow, I really like it here. But I don't know where we're going to go. We're doing a few crazy trips. We're actually going to go to Florence, Italy for the month of December.
I'm so jealous.
And I'm going to work the first couple of weeks and then take off for the holidays. So that'll be interesting and fun. But yeah, I don't know where we're going to, we definitely want to have our own house and do what we want to do. And, but where that's going to be, I'm not sure. I feel like everyone's descending on Florida now, so it might be time for me to move.
Right, just to be a contrarian.
Exactly.
If Florence, Italy is the response, I'm with you 100%. It'll also be really interesting to see how that month there, don't you think these shakeups, and I don't mean COVID because that was like an unwelcome shakeup, but a shakeup of moving houses or having the project of having to do your interiors, or going to Florence and spending all that time at the Uffizi or at the Accademia. It'll be interesting to see what the pages of Luxe do that reflect that jaunt.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's so important that one of the things that it was funny during, not funny during COVID, nothing was funny during COVID, but for me, being a very shy introvert, I kind of, I know, it's true.
Is that what we're going with?
Oh yeah, no, I've come a long way, maybe, as they say, but I am naturally a shy kind of like introverted. I know people on my team are like, that's not true, but it's true. And also for someone who loves to stay home, right? I'm very happy. I'm a big homebody.
Yeah.
So I did enjoy that aspect of going from a time where I was on a plane every week, literally, to then being at home I sort of like that quiet moment. But then I realized like I need to get out, and it's so important for me and for, I think for all of us in this industry, that you're exposed to different things and that your eye is just seeing, different things. That's really important, I think, for a design editor, for creative people in our industry. If you're looking at the same thing every day, I tend to get, again, the ADD, I get kind of bored. I look at what's next. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, I guess it also makes you an academic.
Oh gosh, hardly.
No, no, I don't. I don't mean that sound gross or pseudo. I mean, like you require that kind of study constantly.
Totally, completely. And that's why I loved also, and I think a lot of us during the early days of COVID, it was like our design books were so important to us, right? My art books, I mean, this was just, at least something to see and relive and look through. And I think one of your questions was like, what book would you take if there was a fire?
Yes, I loved your answer.
I was like, I'm going down in flames with all the books.
Yeah, just trying to figure it out. I hear you.
Yeah, there's just so many. Yeah, I mean, we like that. I kind of need a bigger house just for all the books. Between my husband and I, we're like big book people. I mean, I just have got to have a physical book. Or yeah.
Which just convinces me that Luxe has to have a physical book. I mean, we need to speak to Mr. Sandow ASAP. Like, if you did that, would that be an in-house thing, or would you have to go to a publisher, like a book publisher, to do it?
Oh God, no, we do it. We would do it. We would we would do it ourselves.
I think you and I we need to just figure this out right now. Like,
it sounds good. Yeah, absolutely.
You have 72 publications a year. That just feels like a weird number. I feel like if you get to 80.
It's 75. Okay, and if we get to the 75, it's like 12, it's like 12 markets 6 times a year, and then we have got 1 Hamptons and 2 Naples special editions. So that's how we get up to the 75 on the edit side. Yeah. And it's funny, it does, people are always like, how are you doing this? I'm so big too about like organization and having the systems and also the most incredible team, right? It's really about getting the team and letting everyone do what they do and not micromanaging, right? Just that is, I think, super important. You have to.
What part of your job do you like the least?
Oh gosh, paperwork, any kind of, I'm overseeing a team. You've got to, there's certain things that you've got to, paperwork, and there's my procrastination, right? I'll be like, oh gosh, I am the biggest, if there's not a deadline attached to something, I can be a huge procrastinator.
I relate.
But yeah, I don't like, management can sometimes get tricky and I just like it when everything is just running smooth and I don't like drama. I really don't like drama and we do not have any, but over the 16 years I've been here, you sometimes, things percolate up. And so that's the part that I like the least. I mean, the part that I love the most, is, I love being out and about and I know I'm not an introvert anymore, I guess, because I do talking to someone, meeting new people, what are they doing? And then I love when the images come in and we just like have to put all the layouts together and read the stories and so that part of it's just really fun.
And the opening, the final product must be incredibly fun.
Well, this is so funny. And this has been me for so long. When the books come out, I'm on to the next thing. I'm very much about the creative process more than the final. Once it's done for me, I'll look at it, but I'm on to, I'm very much about wanting to create the next thing, then sort of look to, and plus when I open it, I'm only really I'm going to be a little bit critical, right? I'll probably be like, well, we should have done this.
course.
Yeah.
My son was describing to me a soccer player, and he was saying that so and so was so valuable to the team because he was a closer, but what that team really needed was a someone who started things. Like, I forget what word he is, but imagine creator, starter, created opportunities, and they did not need a closer.
Yeah.
And I just, I got interested in that whole notion, and I was like, well, what do you think you are?
Oh.
And then he asked me, what do you think you are? And I am going to say that I think, after hearing what you just said, you and I are exactly the same. And maybe the procrastination is a consequence of this, that we're both creators. Like, the fun is that spark. It's coming up with ideas. It's
Completely.
like getting the ball rolling.
Completely. I
And
can
then you
get,
have
yeah.
to assemble closers around you to make sure that it all gets done.
Yeah, I definitely am on the side of like, what's next? What can we do? And I love, my favorite thing to do is, let's think of something we've never done before, and we're not really sure how we're going to do it, and it seems really like scary,
Yeah.
but we're going to have to just figure it out. We don't have all the tools in front of us, but like, we just need to figure it out, and somehow it'll work out.
Yeah. And I think for you, for me, for anyone watching this who is a starter or a creator, whatever we're using to describe that person, we're such a closer focused culture.
Oh,
The goal, the basket, the paycheck, it's all kind of, all the language is about closing. I think it's of course, like, we're in an industry where creation is really important as well, and like,
yeah.
okay to be the other
Yeah,
one.
it's like, are you more excited at the finish line or the start line? For me, it's the start line. I feel like I
No,
might not make
I
it to
mean,
the finish
it is
line.
like Christmas, though, for a decorator, when you get to see everything and it's as it intended.
Yes.
Um, and also, there are layers that come in, like the magic that when you hang the artwork, that feels like it's creation, even though it's the end of the project.
But even for you, like even like all of your furniture line, I mean, where are you most excited? I mean, and when
Oh yeah,
you
for sure it's you know lice. This lice is about. Um, uh, I am definitely freighted towards the beginning, but at the end, I get teary at the end when things actually happen, because there are lots of times when we all do things and they don't come to fruition. So it's always very exciting when it does.
yes, yeah.
And also, mine is different. It's not, like, there's a person I'm trying to please,
That okay,
the homeowner. So looking
correct.
at the homeowner and seeing them happy is like,
What about a
craft.
show house though? Because you're sort of what about when you do a show house? Does that change for you? Now I'm going
Um,
to interview you, Alexa
yeah,
Hampton.
I was about to say, like, what just happened? I don't know. Do you got? But has there been a Luxe show house?
Well, the big McDaddy show house that we did was a long time ago in Beverly Hills at the Greystone Estate. We did
Uh-huh.
two big show houses there, big national show houses there. And woof, it was so much work. But that was actually an example of, I was kind of like, oh boy, how is this going to go? When that opened, when everything came together, there was happiness because I actually also felt like I've got to keep all the designers happy, and there's the pressure of just making sure that it's just, it's a lot. I think we had like 20 something designers. I mean, it's a lot to manage and organize and make sure, you know, there's a
Yes.
lot that goes into it.
I participate, though I do. I don't understand how the organizers manage it. I don't even know why they'd want to. It's so, you know, thankfulness jobs. Uh, Now, well, that naturally gets me thinking about philanthropy, because show houses are so often in support of a cause. I don't remember from your questionnaire, what is the cause that you most like to support?
You know, women's rights is so important.
But
My
you're the
mom,
feminist, yeah.
my mom was, you know, my mom is a big feminist, and when I was her only daughter, I'm her only daughter, and so as a kid growing up, she, you know, I mean, I remember going to like rallies with her, and it was so important, you know, that women have a way to support themselves, have a career, be independent, have a sense of accomplishment, no matter where they are. And, you know, you look at, you know, I mean, it pains me, you look at sort of like what's happening in Afghanistan now, and you know, for women to, you know, not have those opportunities, and to sort of have to live in, you know, this is where I say, thank God we're in this country, right, where
Yeah.
women can grow up. And I think education for girls, so that's something that is, you know, very important. I come from a very female centric, so, you know, my dad's important too, but very, you know, very female dominated.
Yeah.
My grandmother, who had 3 daughters, and my mother. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
To your point about Afghanistan, it's, you know, it's one thing when you look around one's own environment and you think like, oh, you know, women aren't having opportunities here and here and here, but to see a culture choose to not have those like that they could but choose not to is what really
It boggles, yeah, it sort of boggles, it boggles the mind. And, you know, you know, we can only hope to try to make sure that, you know, women and people everywhere, you know, are educated, exposed to books and education, and have a chance to learn, to grow, to, you
think,
know,
to dream. Yeah.
totally. All that's, I think, you know, important, because I think that's sort of such a launching pad for, you know, what you can do later. At least it gives you an opportunity,
Yeah.
education and all of that. So
Yeah, and you don't have to do anything with it, but just to have it is worth the price of admission.
totally.
Anyway, we veered way off course there.
Wait, wait, are you going to be at market? Are you going to market
I
this?
am going to market. Of course, I'm going to market.
Oh, good.
I will be at Theodore Alexander almost the whole time when
Okay.
I'm not sleeping. I hope, and Markham Roberts is coming to market, and he's going to be doing a book signing at Theodore Alexander on
Oh
Saturday.
gosh.
Are you going to be
Okay.
around?
I am going to be there. We've got such a crazy schedule that we always have, but I'm going to definitely come to see you, because I didn't see you in June. I feel like I missed you.
I was there for sure, but I spent a lot of my time at Theodore Alexander, you know, because we've got, you know, we have meals there, and we have, you know, people shop up until, you know, nighttime,
Yeah.
up to 9 o'clock at night. And so we stick around.
Yeah, good. Yeah, no, we're so happy to be at market, right? We used to complain,
Yeah.
our feet hurt, and we're like, yay, we're out and seeing product and people.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, and it is. When was the first time you went to market?
oh my gosh, I
Right?
don't know. I mean, 12, 14, 15
So
years
you've
ago.
been to probably like 30 markets.
Yeah.
So I think when people first go to market, it is your feet hurt and it feels like a lot of chores. But now when you're on this side of it, like we're just seeing friends we've developed over millions of years who we've seen in these very specific conditions over and over again every year. So it becomes joyful.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of a family reunion.
Totally.
For
Totally.
sure.
And, you know, with a little retail therapy baked into it. And beauty. So,
I always say, like, I've got to come early or stay late. Well, I probably should come early and go shopping, but it never happens. So
yeah, all that free time you have. Anyway,
exactly.
thank you so much, Pam, for talking to me today. I find you so interesting, and I look up so highly to people like you who are able to be so creative, almost like on command. You know, it's just flowing out of you all the time. Especially like if anybody doesn't know Pam's artwork, please look at her Instagram. You're going to be taken away. It's so
Gosh.
transporting.
Oh, that means so much coming from you because I'm a huge admirer of the work that you do, and
Well,
yeah.
it's totally the case. And I really do hope that if you want to do wallpaper and fabrics, that somebody does take you up on it, because they really be getting, like it's all, you can see your heart and soul in it.
Oh gosh. Well, thanks so much. That really means so much to me.
And girl power, yay. And boy power. It
Girl
has
and
been
boy
lovely
power.
talking to you. And,
I have two
yeah,
boys, so I've got to say
and I
girl and
have two
boy.
boys too. And am fond of boys as a genre.
As am I. As
Yeah.
am I.
So I will see you next week,
I
and
will see you next
wait.
week at market. Okay.
All
Mwah.
right.
Thanks so much,
Kisses.
Alexa.
Bye.
Bye.